Wait. How you be able to read?
Just how you saw me struggling.
And it's a smaller font too?
I know.
Bill. Let me leave the shot. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't leave the show. Don't leave the show.
Like I said, Marley's blind this evening. I'll be taking over. Hi, guys.
Because I'm tired.
You just gonna speak to your watch while we
I'm
here?
just waiting for y'all to start.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of Talks with Wine. I am your host, Marley.
Oh, my name is Kamaya. My name is Kamaya.
Well, let me see my shirt.
I am Tamara, and I am here.
You ever heard that Tisha Campbell song? I'm still
I'm
here.
still here. Yeah, no.
Here.
No,
Y'all are the jukeboxes.
Here. I'm still here.
Stop it. Because it was just as bad when she did it. Stop it.
Some Halloween-ish.
Listen,
Anyhow.
October's approaching.
And you know what? All right.
I'm about to be a clown for Halloween.
Why would you be anything that you are all year round? Why would you?
Because it just fits in.
Did you see that article about the shortage of clowns?
And I'm going to apply
Yeah,
there
because
is a
I
need.
fit in.
There is
I
a
sent
need.
some baby fathers for that position.
I'm speechless.
All right. And tonight, guys, we'll be talking about something very trendy.
Ooh. We talking about wave caps? You talking about wigs, eyelashes?
Yes, girl. And sage and all that. We are talking about cultural appropriation. So,
Wow.
Just hilarious.
I want us to talk about cultural appropriation for many reasons. I'm tired of seeing raisins and potato salads, but more so.
Is that
That's how you come up the gate.
Is that
Just
cultural-
running like.
is that cultural appropriation or just bad cooking?
Well, if we talk about it, get there.
We don't have to get there.
No,
Yeah.
we do. Because, you know, I think there's a missed gray line or.
Oh no, I was talking about the raisins.
Oh, we won't talk about
Yeah,
that.
no, that's
no.
we have
we'll
to talk about cultural
Oh,
appropriation.
yes.
But we don't have to talk about the racism.
We don't.
No, but-
There's no need to bring that
Oh,
up.
come
There's
on,
no
sis. Get
need
to the point. Get to the point.
to
'Cause
bring
you-
that up.
you talk, come on, get to the point.
I want us to be clear on a lot of the topics that we speak on because our goal is to not just shoot the shits and drink wine, but
And
also
entertain you.
I like shooting the shit.
And
We like
entertaining.
that. And we like wine.
But we also like
But
being knowledgeable.
yes, and we want people to know, like, you know, the definitions and what we mean when we say certain things. We
want to be clear and concise.
very clear. Clear as day.
So with that being said, I guess we should tell you what cultural appropriation means.
Yes.
I have the definition.
Ooh.
Yes, I do. It's cited from dictionary.com.
Come on, scholar.
Cultural appropriation is the act of adopting elements of an outside, often minority culture, aka, it's right here,
Come on, finish.
including knowledge, practices, symbols, and things of that nature, without understanding or respecting the original culture and context. AKA taking my things without permission and not giving me any due justice or credit or any of that. Or respect.
All right. I get it.
All that.
I get it.
I also want us to focus on the difference between appropriating and appreciating because, you know,
You said that. I have that definition as well.
Cultural assimilation.
I have cultural appreciation.
Kamaya's heading back to her homeland, Jamaica.
First of all,
Jamaica.
you won't sound like a sandals ad. Her homeland, Jamaica.
Right. And
She
are
going
you going
home.
to get,
She
are
going
you
to
going
yard.
get some cornrows? Boxer braids?
I would like to get cornrows before I
With the
leave.
beads at the end?
I would probably put some beads if I found some nice wooden
What they
ones. I'm trying to get cornrows. Listen, all jokes aside, I'm trying to get my hair braided before I go. So y'all wasn't even a joke.
If you see this, do her hair.
But what Marley is saying, cultural assimilation, it's basically the process by which a group or a group's language and or culture come to resemble those of another group. So, oftentimes, I feel like what we do as a people is we confuse cultural appropriation and cultural assimilation. And breathe.
I did.
I feel like you want to say something.
I was gonna say,
No, because I'm prepared for this.
and I feel like just my take, I feel like what could make cultural appropriation better in some senses is if those people who like to steal things just give credit.
I think that would be the main thing, right? Because
Give me credit.
if we're taking something,
Your mama always told you don't take something without asking.
yeah, don't take it. Just don't take it.
Or touch it.
Right.
Pick
And
it
then try to make it your own, because we forget that when we take from other cultures, it means something to that culture. So taking it and making it our own.
Especially all y'all is coming around Halloween. All y'all like to wear certain costumes.
Right.
And
Right. And we
That's the-
forget that disrespects the culture that we're taking it from.
you
And-
Indian wearing costume. people,
Right. Like,
you guys who want to wear your geisha outfits.
mhm.
Those things have meanings.
They
You
do.
can't just put things on and appropriate a culture and their history and not do your research or due diligence and expect someone not to be offended.
Right. And that's, for a lot of reasons, that would be the problem with cultural appropriation, is that it's misrepresenting the culture that it is being taken from. Because back in the 90s, it was like crazy, not offensive, but it was wrong for us to wear colors in our hair and braids, but fast forward to 2019 and everybody wants some faux locks and goddess braids and these
boxer
things.
braids and this is the thing. So I'm a little different with a lot of when it comes, because I do my hair like once every week. I get a new hairstyle, so I don't mind.
She said every week.
You said once?
Y'all see her, she come through with a
Okay.
different hairstyle every week.
So I don't mind essentially like the wearing of the hairstyles. I think what it starts to bother me is that when Keisha wears her box braids to work and she adds a little pink or a little blue just because she's feeling
That's ghetto.
because she's feeling spicy as ghetto.
Right.
But Charlotte got box braids. No, Charlotte didn't get box braids.
What did she get?
Charlotte just bleached her hair pink and blue and green. And she comes into the same office.
And it's fine.
And it's fine.
Totally.
One's getting looked at and the other one is expressing her creative
Right.
Side.
yeah. And or if I want to wear a full pink wig, y'all gonna look at me and think I'm sliding down a pole. Or
that threw me for you honestly took. I'm like sliding. Oh, wait, what?
Think about it. Oftentimes, like
Colorful wigs and that type of
colorful wigs are associated with what? Entertainment purposes. And if you are an African American woman, there's only certain entertainment purposes they think you do when you got colorful hair. But let me be like Kylie. What's her name? Kylie Jenner, and put on the pink wig.
You just gave her some names.
Whatever the hell her name is. She put her pink wig on and it looked good. It's fashion. It is
Right.
New York Fashion Week. Nah, sis, it's not. It's still the same pink wig that Shauna put on last week.
Shauna.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna. There's nothing. You left no room for nothing but agreement, and I was just gonna piggyback and say I think when we come into that, especially as Black women coming into cultural appropriation, I feel like when we run into those scenarios, it always turns into, if the conversation is had, it's like why can't I do it? There's no, and I think that leans more towards assimilation. Like that's what it is. Like it's appropriation, but it's the assimilation part. Like why can't I do it? Or what's wrong with it? Like if you were to ask Like, oh, you'll do everything like I'm doing it. You'll roll your neck, you'll get your nails, you'll sing like us. You know, you'll do it all.
You'll put glue on top of your lips and try to make
To-
it fuller.
To stick it, I saw that. That was
I was so.
that was amazing. I gotta be honest with you. They are.
I just.
Or,
But I was gonna say, but if
or-
you ask them at the very end of the day, would you give all that up and be black?
They'll say no.
The answer would be no.
Or the
Or they can
women.
lie and say yes, but then
You really know it's no, and that's my thing. It's like that's a big thing for me.
Or what communities often do is they take something that's been a staple within that said minority community, such as a do-rag
Or
or,
a
some
bonnet.
Chinese slippers or a bonnet,
Ooh.
and market it and sell it for a greater value
for way more.
and make profit off of somebody else's creation.
And
And then bonnets? I didn't know you guys wore such things. But 2 months ago, 2 months ago, there was memos sent out to certain schools where mothers were told, do not wear head wraps and said bonnets to come pick up your children.
Because it's ghetto.
So,
And we want to have our children understand that you need to look good when you're going out.
so what's good for you ain't good for me.
It's good
But
for the goose. It's
the-
not good for the gander.
when we realize that, I don't know if we can say our struggles, but when we realize the things that are rooted in us, that are culturally rooted in us, being marketed and sold, I think that's where we should all have a problem with it. Because there's no way you're about to sell me a $99 bonnet when I can get
It
a nice cheetah print
satin lined.
satin line
Okay.
for $4 at the beauty supply store.
And this is not to
that's
say
what
that
the design.
this is not to say that if someone in my culture was selling
Higher
bonnets,
price bonnets
because I
they
have
do.
purchased and they do
Because
$40,
Toya
$50,
Toya got an
$70.
amazing bonnet.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I will support you, and I do. Like, I have, purchased and bought. But it's like, I would rather buy it from the people that I know that
That
would
know.
use it
Because we are using the said bonnet
daily.
for
I
a
just took it off my
particular,
here. Like, what?
particular
But
use.
it goes even to like, I know you and I often joke about this, but said bamboo earrings that you can
Oh,
buy
baby.
from the beauty supply store,
Mm.
and then like, I'm gonna go get me some bamboo earrings with my friend
Why'd
because
you have to?
it's just it gets sick.
I was going to sip, too.
It gets sickening in a sense because it's just like, if I decide that I'm going to speak with proper dialect
and that's
and I'm
another
going to
one.
use I'm going to speak with proper dialect. I'm going to speak and enunciate my words, right? It's not called cultural appropriation because I'm not appropriating a culture. You don't sound black. And I'm like,
You're
wait,
talking white.
no, I'm speaking in an educated manner.
I'm
You
just
can-
enunciating my words.
Like I was
But
taught. Like
The thing with that also is that even our dialect gets taken from us.
Right,
You
but
know, like
and if we
something as simple as
and if we
talking,
don't speak in
hood?
our dialect, are you ashamed of where you come? No, that's not our dialect.
honestly, I've gotten
Really?
some. A white man has told me. Told me that I sound very educated for a person.
What is it?
I know he wanted to say what he wanted to say, but for you to point out that I sound so educated, like, first of all, I know a lot of people who speak and enunciate
cringy.
their words, but they'll get in a room with us and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, are you down?"
And then
I'm sorry, what?
And then you get these girls like Whoa Vicky and Bad.
Bad Barbie.
I was gonna say it sounds like Bahad, Bahab. And you get them and you look at them and they speak with all the slang and stuff. And it's like, don't get me wrong, because I've grown up with a lot of cultures in Miami. So sometimes it's just your neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
But y'all turn it up. That switch goes off
You know
real
what this
quick
reminds
when you
me
get in
of?
trouble.
Malibu's Most Wanted.
Come on. You know.
That movie was the perfect
satire
I think
for
what we gotta-
cultural appropriation.
I think
it really was.
because I think what we got to remember is appropriation to me ties hand in hand with privilege.
Mm.
And Chelsea Handler has her little show on Netflix, and she talks about it. And she made a comment on how she had an ex-boyfriend in high school who happened to be black, very intelligent guy. They grew up in the same neighborhood, and they got caught with drugs. She got sent home, and he got arrested. Lost his scholarship.
Of course.
Were you telling us something?
You know,
But it's just like she said I was hanging with him because he was the cool one. You know, I wanted to be down with him and his friends. But with her privilege, she was able to skedaddle.
So, are we too sensitive?
Where?
About our shit.
Because we're artists. And we're very sensitive.
There are
about our
certain
shit.
things. So there's, like I said, there are certain things where I feel like we could ease up and make leeway on. Like, I don't care if you do your hair. I don't care if you wear box braids. I don't care if you go back
Right,
to
because I feel like that's a thing that's been done, you know, for a very long time. It's not, you know what I mean, like
box braids. Don't.
what's that woman's name? Derek Bow?
Yeah.
I mean, like
Yeah.
that's like a 60s, 70s icon, I think.
Yeah.
But she was a woman who wore, you know, like it was that. And when Kim Kardashian redid the hairstyle, that's what they compared her to.
Well, because Kim Kardashian called them Derek braids, and that's not what they were. They're cornrows, sis.
Of course.
And I think that's where the problem is. It's like if you're going to do something, assimilate, don't appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Assimilation is appreciation and adapting. Appropriating is stealing and not giving credit.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I mean?
Marginalized groups.
Like I think it's a fine line between like appropriation and appreciation. I feel like as a black woman, I'm not really sure if I've just become like numb to it.
I knew that.
Like, you know what I mean? Or if I've just chosen like to not like turn a blind eye, but just to realistically be like, what can I do other than be myself? And like, if you are, you know, trying to be yourself too, at this point in time, I don't have any way of deciphering if you're trying to be yourself or if you really do appreciate my culture or whatever the case may be. Like, I don't feel like at this time I'm not like the judge of it. Doesn't mean I'm gonna be any less myself or not check someone if I find you being rude. But
this reminds me, y'all know my favorite television show. My favorite show that was on television. I got that. So there was an episode of Girlfriends where Lynn's white sister. Anyone who knows Lynn knows she was adopted, and she had a white sister who was pro-black. She was black. I'm black, y'all.
Oh,
I'm blackity black, good a black, y'all. No, but she was a white girl.
Are you seeing how I looked at her?
She didn't watch that episode. It's her.
She was a white girl, but what it was is Lynn was so used to it, and when this girl came around, and she was around Tony and Maya and Joan, they were like, "Oh, okay, so she down." And then it wasn't until she slipped up and got too comfortable and said something she didn't need to say, where they had to call it, and like Lynn called her out on her shit, and Lynn was just like, I wanted you to be you. And I got where the sister was coming from. The sister was just like, well, you were half black growing up in a white household, and I wanted to make sure you knew your culture. So I did everything I could do. And Lynn told her, but you did not have to appropriate the culture. You could have taught it to me. You didn't have to appropriate.
Right, you didn't have to.
So it's just like,
do all
I
the
think there's
extraness.
that fine line where some people just really want to show, and they want to show the support, but it's just like,
yeah,
don't go too far.
yeah, just it's okay. It's right here. Right here is good. Right here is good.
Please.
I mean, you get out a lift. Like, no, right here is good. You almost passed my house.
But we see examples everywhere where, you know, we know that black people are the original people. We're not gonna go there. So a lot of the things were taken.
That's us agreeing. No, that's us agreeing. Like, sis,
Y'all need a moment.
I wasn't gonna say nothing.
Okay.
No, that was.
But no, we
I
are the
just wanted to
original
smile,
people.
bro.
That's more like 2, 3, 1.
Uh-huh.
You know it good. You know it good.
But we know that we are the original people, and that a lot of the things that are marginalized are taken from us. Like, and it's become so watered down where we don't know. Cause like,
Who don't know?
these millennials, like, because
I don't know if it's that they don't know,
No,
or
I think-
if it's they're adapting.
I was
I
gonna
think-
say, and I think that they're
I
the
don't
group.
think-
I think that they're the group that's
they're the group that's-
censored because
yeah,
they're like,
they're not
oh,
as-
get over it. Like, well, this is
No.
how we're living. Like,
but in that sense also because they have no knowledge of these things,
mhm.
it's so easy to
So you,
appropriate or disrespect cultures.
I also think you gotta specify we are still considered millennials.
We are, but
You talking about Gen X, Gen
Is that
Z?
what they are?
Yes.
I don't have time for that.
Let's specify.
Listen,
These
I was
new
born in
ones.
'89, so
These
You're a
new
millennial.
ones.
I know. But I was about to say, but after me, like,
It's Gen X and then Gen Y, right?
Yes. So you talking
Too
about
many
Gen
gens.
X? Yeah.
I'm
Gen
saying,
Y.
Gen Y.
like,
That's how I got hit.
there's too many. But things like rock and roll music that it was taken from us. And I actually just found this out that because, I know this might sound silly, but because there was a concert of a rock and roll artist back in like the 30s or whatever, and obviously everything was radio. So people didn't know who they were listening to.
Oh, you didn't hear about? I know exactly.
So they
the
showed up
story.
to a concert and it was a black man.
Yeah, and they were. Yeah, you did not have
And they
a lot.
but
I hate you for shuffling the cards, bro. Like,
but we forget that a lot of these things come from us. Like
we
when
don't forget, but I think that
Yeah.
it's not being relayed. I do agree with you in that nature, in that regard. But I think it's also about, if that's the case, the people, the generation, or the younger people underneath us, it's our job then to.
And I
It
was
is
gonna
our
say,
job.
and I was gonna say,
because
I
we're the
don't
only
think,
ones carrying these two sides.
right,
we're
like we are
literally
middle
really in the
child.
middle, yeah.
and I was gonna say, I honestly
Which is
don't think,
Yes.
I don't think that it's they don't care. I feel like they have the knowledge, and I think they know. But I feel like with Gen X and Gen Y, they're focused on
Now.
coming together. No, think about it, because if you look at who Gen X and Gen Y is, and you look at the
95 babies, right? Or 90
no,
kids born after
Gen,
95.
no 2000 2K.
Okay.
Yes,
So they're still
and
millennials.
then yes,
I don't know.
and you look at them like they have people, spokespersons like Zendaya and Sky Jackson and Yara Shahidi,
Mhm.
and we are at a time where social media is prevalent, so
But
it's
I have
hard.
Missy Elliott.
It is still hard.
And
What I mean is, it's still hard for someone to get away with appropriating something without us telling them no. See, what they have that we didn't have is social media to call people out.
Right.
So I feel
Mhm.
like they know when they see it, but they're like, you know what? Why fight? Why don't we all come together? I feel like they're trying to emerge and try to accept. I
I
feel
was
like
gonna say they're trying to emerge, and I also think that they're just trying to accept like
what it is. It
and
is what it is.
and not like, listen, it's not that it's not important. It's just like, okay, well,
Why can't we all
we've
do
had
it?
so many generations focused on it. Let's just, what happens if we don't? What happens if we just live? And that's kind of where I like. That's why when I say like, are we too sensitive? I think to a fault because we're numb to it.
Look how she
Maybe.
explains stuff way better than me. I love it.
I think
she's
I think to a fault, like we're numb to it maybe, but I also think that we are also the generation that's like, yo, okay, like my mom and mom's mom and mom's mom, they are, we know we're about to get into it with them, like, but we're gonna teach it differently because they gotta receive it differently because we
Right.
received it differently. I saw this meme and I wish I could remember exactly how it was, but it was like, you are made up of all the defense, like of all the things you need to defend yourself from your parents' generational curses.
Yep.
And I thought that was insane. Like, I thought that was so, like, you know, like, it was a revelation because I just felt like, okay, when I think of topics like this, when I think of situations where it's happening, when I think I go to work and people are like, oh, so like, what would it look like if you combed it out? Like, how do you wash it? The same way you wash it, bro. Like, leave me alone. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that deep. And I don't need to tell, like, mad people, like, I joke about it. Like, I joke a lot about it. But it's like, it's mostly because I'm just like, I'm over it. And
yeah.
yeah, but totally, like, you
I'm
know,
the hole that
I'm a
belongs
dry
to
human
everyone else.
asshole, but I'm over it. So it's like, okay, cool, thanks. Well, same way you wash it and keep it moving. Like,
And then I feel like too, also with the generations after us, we also need to remember there are a lot more biracial couples out here now.
you are not lying.
There is a lot more mixing going on, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yep.
And it's just like we see new cultures emerging
Right.
in a sense, and it's like I think it's time in
And
a
they're
sense.
making their own.
Or Are they new cultures? I feel like it's just a lot of old cultures coming up.
I think
And
it's a lot of new.
resurfacing.
I think it's a lot of new cultures because
That's
now you
true,
have
B.
you have the blendings of cultures, so it's creating a new culture.
I think, for me personally, I think it is just resurfacing of old cultures because now we're focused on doing. It's so ironic that we're focused on doing things the way that we used to do them in certain categories where, like in health, for example, a lot of people aren't turning to medications. They're doing more natural, holistic healings, and that's not something that's new. That's not, you know.
So
what I mean?
didn't mean that when I meant emerging of cultures. I meant like when you have biracial families and it comes together to create their own.
She's talking about like.
You mean like Pakistani and Mexican?
Yeah, like
yes,
she's talking
or
about,
black
like,
and
so
white.
not necessarily the practices of the culture, not the
but
cultural
creating
practices,
your own.
but the fact that there are now like like you said, like biracial, like new. Think of it as like new.
Like if you really think of a biracial,
like,
if you think
about it like that,
if you think of a biracial child, right? What culture do they fit in?
The one that they grew up in.
Whatever the one is most dominant, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I can't say that. I have a niece who's white and black, and we are both dominant. Her black side and her white side. You get what I mean?
But that's not for nothing. That's a rarity.
It is.
Well, I won't say a rarity, but it's really about like it's. Again, that brings back to like the teaching and what you're being.
And that's what I mean, and that
you.
creates a new culture because she was taught to respect both her white side and her black side. She was taught it's a different. You get what I mean? So that's why I said there are new cultures going on right now. So it's just like it's emerging and accepting everything as equal in a sense.
I like the concept of that.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think can be done in terms of separating that?
Also ready to answer
that separating the feel of it being appropriation, because
give credit where credit's due. I feel like, all jokes aside, I feel like the only way you're gonna get over cultural appropriation is if you give credit where it's due. If you're gonna take an idea from somebody, give that credit, because can't no one turn around and be like, well, damn. Perfect example. On Instagram, I know you guys don't follow like the makeup gurus. There's a makeup guru. Her name is Worthy, but she spells it with like WVRTHY. She does trap tutorials. She does trap makeup tutorials. They are lit. And she had like 200,000-300,000 followers on Instagram and stuff like that. She has a poppin' YouTube channel, but it wasn't till a more popular, fair-skinned, white makeup artist took the same exact song she did and took her same concept, and the trap tutorials went viral. All he had to do was give her credit in that video. Like, I got this idea and this concept from such and such, and she would have been okay. And that's all she asked for.
As most
that's all she asked for. So I think that's where it comes from. Like, if you're going to take something from somebody,
that falls into intellectual property. Ooh. And unfortunately, you cannot put a cap on
that. No,
that's a different topic.
That's a different topic.
But I do want to answer and say, when it comes to what can be done, I honestly think I ride a line of like nothing. Do what, like, yes, credit does deserve to be given to where it's due, but also be unapologetic, like be you, like continue to live in these spaces, continue to.
If you want to steal, just steal and give credit.
For sure, but I'm not going to put it this way. I'm not lingering if you don't give me my credit, because I am clearly flying. I am clearly dip enough. You clearly wanted to take it from me enough.
But
there's nothing I can do about that.
But how do you tell that to our older? How do you tell that to our older aunts and uncles?
No offense, I don't, because they already lived through it. I don't. I don't have any words for them, because I feel like it's like, yo, I got the torch. You are watching this, but you've been watching things for a long time, and I know you don't agree with it. You feel a type of way, but I got the torch. I got this. Be cool, because I have to handle it my way.
I ain't saying that.
I would never. Let's be clear. I would never. That's not how I would say it at all. I'm in this studio. I could safely say that, but that's not what I'm like. Yo, you're bugging. Like, no. I would be like, oh no, listen, don't worry about it.
I get it.
You know,
your point is, no, I get exactly what you're saying.
So, but that's how I feel about what can be done.
What is it? Mind the business that pays you.
That's what you told me.
Yeah.
We're gonna put it on a shirt.
Why you didn't my business when my ankles was actually?
You know someone has it on a shirt. Sierra Glam Shot. Just love it. Tangent. Never mind. She sells it on her shirt. Mind the business.
Giving credit. Look at you.
Right. That's all you gotta do. But
That's
also
good.
respecting the cultures that you
No,
are,
absolutely respecting it.
taking from and knowing what it means to them. Because I think it was when we had the conversation that people are gonna be dressing up in mask costumes for Carnival.
Come on now.
All right.
Those things mean something to the countries, the islands that celebrate it. And it was right after Carnival, I was at work, and my coworkers who are not of color or not of freaking Caribbean descent were like, oh, why does she have her ass and titties out and all this? And it's just like,
I have
do
laid
you even
so many
do you
slap
even
downs,
know?
so many verbal slap downs about
But
Carnival
what
and
this
mine.
is,
Can I
Like,
tell you guys something? Carnival did not become popular mainstream until people started seeing Rihanna in her Carnival
Rihanna, yep,
costumes.
and now Ashanti's
well,
there.
I would say if you didn't know about it.
No,
Yeah.
like I said, popping in mainstream.
I wish it wasn't mainstream.
I do too,
That's a
because
selfish thing, but I really wish it
I
wasn't.
do too,
like,
because as a Caribbean woman,
Mhm.
as a Jamaican woman, I will always say this, like, Carnival is a staple thing.
oh,
and
that's not
Carnival-
what you was gonna say.
What you thought I was gonna say?
You know what I thought you was gonna say.
Listen, sis. Then listen, Carnival, we all know where it started from. We all know the country it originated from. But all cultures, from Trinidad to Brazil to Africa to Cape Verde, Haiti, Jamaica, Barbados, the U.S. Like, you know what I mean? Carnival is big,
We celebrate our carnival here. They don't have no carnival.
meaning
The Dorchester Day Parade.
when I mean the U.S.,
St. Patty's Day Parade.
the Labor Day Parade, I'm thinking about New York's Caribbean Carnival.
Yeah.
But those are put together by Caribbean people.
But that's what I mean. Like, that's what I mean. Like,
Do you
those
think
are.
Tom gonna put us together?
Jesus Christ.
They canceled.
You know what? All right. Well, with that, with what you're saying,
The point I was trying to make is, before y'all go and put on something just because it look cute, do some research.
Right.
Figure out why it is what it is. Figure out what the reason of it is. I'm not just gonna go in your backyard and steal your potatoes and not ask you why you baked them like that. Like,
All right. Bacon potatoes.
you know what? This has been a lovely episode.
I'm just saying.
Thank you guys for joining us on another episode of Talks with Wine. I am your host, Marley.
I am Tamara.
And I am ready to go home.
All right. Good night, you guys.
Good night, guys.